But our next guest is a mindset coach and a founder of Raise Your Mental Health. Given it is a holiday period for many, it's not always the most enjoyable time, and it can link to issues within one's own mental health, sometimes known as the holiday depression. And Ray Kobeissi is joining us here in the studio. Thank you very much for coming in, Ray.
Thank you for having me.
It seems strange that people, you work all year, you've sacrificed, you've ticked off all your goals and everything you wanted to achieve. Now's the time to just wind down for the year and hang out with some close friends and some family. But what are the holiday blues? Why do so many people associate this period with a period of depression?
Well, holiday blues is the feeling of sadness and loneliness that people get during the holidays.
Right.
And it's only during the holidays. So we're talking about November and December. So we call it holiday blues or holiday depression.
And is this common linked to people based in Dubai? Or
No, it's worldwide.
It's worldwide.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
because I didn't know, because many people here do find the summer months to be quite depressing because it's quite isolating.
So there's quite a different kind of depression. What you're referring to is called SAD, which is seasonal depression.
Right.
And it basically happens in situations or seasons. This one is just for the holidays, which is a
Okay.
couple of months. That's it.
Okay, so when it comes down to this period, what are some of the warning signs that friends or family should perhaps look for in someone's changes in their habits or behaviour?
You just said it, which is the change of
Okay.
habits and behavior. If someone is acting out of their normal self, this could be a sign and symptom of having a holiday blues. So, for example, we could have change in appetite, lack of sleep, the frustration, the feeling that you're always frustrated or upset because you don't know why. This also could be a sign. Feeling of worthlessness and guilt. This also could be on the rise when it comes to holiday depression. Loss of pleasure and joy in activities you usually love.
I come from a country that celebrates Christmas, and they often talk about Christmas, whilst for many it can be a really joyful time experiencing presents with the
Yeah.
kids. But for others, it can be an incredibly
Miserable
lonely time.
Yes.
Either they're surrounded by family that they don't like or that haven't been good to them, or they're missing a relative who have maybe passed away, or they're isolated. And I think sometimes we forget that it can be so lonely.
Absolutely. This is why it's so important to highlight that there are so many people that don't get to celebrate, not because they don't want to, it's just because of their mental health that is preventing them to. So you just said it, one of the reasons could be they're grieving someone or their families are giving them a hard time and they just don't know how to deal with that pressure. So it's just nice to keep to stay mindful of those people and to check in on them.
Yeah, definitely. Today's actually December the 21st, which is a national day in Australia, where I come from. You might understand this. It's called Gravy Day.
Gravy Day.
You would never have heard of this, but we don't have many Christmas songs. But we have this one Christmas song, and it's that story. It's the story of a guy who's in jail, and all he can think about is, I'm not with my friends and family at Christmas. And the thing I used to do was cook the gravy. And he's sitting there looking at penning this note going, oh, but who's going to make the gravy if I'm not there? Because that was his sense of well-being. That was his role he always had. So it becomes a bit of a metaphor that, there's, for everyone that's enjoying, there might be one or two people who aren't there. We need to remember those sort of people.
Absolutely.
And how important is that to maybe look at your phone and check in on people and maybe just check in and tell people how much you really feel about them, how much you really like them?
Absolutely. And it's always the people who don't show it.
Yeah.
So people are always happy, always laughing. You don't, could think that they
Right.
are going through something. Just pick up the phone. Hey, how is it going? So, yes.
And how hard is that? If you're someone who might be feeling that holiday depression, what are some of the tips you can give with them to cope and open up?
Oh, wow. The first thing would be, there are plenty of tips that one can do when it comes to holiday depression, but one is really just treat yourself as you would treat a friend. We tend to bully ourselves with so many feelings like guilt or shame, feeling down, not reaching out for help. So I would just start with treat yourself as if you would treat a friend. So be compassionate to yourself, take yourself out, treat yourself to something. And on the other hand, if your body is just resisting to get out of bed or whatever, it's okay. Hold the space, rest, sleep, whatever that need is, give it to yourself. And the second thing is that do not indulge in self sabotage behaviors. Like, don't overspend, don't feel guilty or pressured to go and say to please people just because you're feeling guilty about it. What else I would suggest? Do whatever brings you joy and comfort.
Yeah, we kind of have a saying back home: eat the mashed potatoes.
Eat the mashed potatoes. Absolutely. Don't think about the calories.
Yeah, you're worried about everyone's the beach bodies and everyone's at the beach, and you think, no, just it's Christmas, it's the holidays or whatever you're celebrating this time. Enjoy yourself.
And you mentioned something about the family. If I could comment on that, because I do get a lot of questions on this. If you cannot avoid family gathering because they're family, just learn how to set boundaries and to not indulge or to be part of conversations that are not comfortable to you. Just smile, have the mashed potatoes, and it's gonna pass.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas, a couple of friends are doctors, and they find this a really stressful time.
It is.
Because the amount of people that come to them saying, oh, I've got to catch up with this person, and these two don't get on, and this doesn't work. And
it's
all
the
these
societal pressure.
And it becomes a really stressful time for people. Yeah, definitely.
Social demands and pressure really would take a toll on our mental health.
Look, it's great that you're able to speak about this. When you look at an area like Dubai, there's a lot of expats and there's a lot of people who don't have strong family ties. There's a lot of people that might have friends and it's transient and it can come and go. Any tips for people that are staying here this time of year to cope with these situations?
So there are two tips which are very simple. One is find communities that are like-minded. So a lot of people now are taking part of running groups, for example, or hikings, or anything that we really feel like doing. Some people are going to do some whatever activity you feel like would bring you some joy and pleasure. Go do it, but find the people who are like you. So be part of a group that are like-minded. That's one. Two, self-love. Self-love, baby. Take care of yourself.
Isn't it really key? There's a lot of those tips about just being so good to yourself. I got off a call to my mother today, and she doesn't really use social media too much, but her best friend does. And she says, oh, my best friend told me, I see all these amazing things that you're doing in Dubai. You're never coming home. And and it's interesting that sometimes you need to be mindful of what you see, because you can go back into your own world and you get too caught up on scrolling and you can see what other people's lives are like. And you've got to remember that's not really it.
Do not compare, guys. Do not compare, because at the end of the day, which is a very important topic, the social media, do not compare, because social media, we are literally showing you what we want you to see. So you don't know what's going on backstage and what's going on in real life. So social media is not something that you can take as reality. So yes, thank you for bringing that up.
It's a key one, especially in this city.
Especially in this city, absolutely. I totally agree.
More so than others. No,
actually,
yes.
I was just asked by
Pranav, a producer.
He was like, hey, so how are you connected with social media? And I was like, if it wasn't for business, I wouldn't have been on it.
Yeah.
Take as much time for yourself. Read a book. Do something that really fuels your mind, makes your heart happy. Whatever it is, do not get pressured by society, by family, or by friends. Just because someone is doing this doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah. I actually find it really hard, personally, to switch off. Is that business? I use WhatsApp as a way to connect with people back home. But of course, this country uses WhatsApp for business, so that when you...
I'm guilty of that.
And we're all guilty of that. No, we have to. That's just the way
it's easier.
That is. But I think that leads into, for many people, it becomes harder to switch off.
Yeah.
Because when you go away from work, what is your outlet for communication and social activity?
Journaling.
Is also your... Okay, journaling. That's an important one.
Journaling. I make it. If you have discipline to go to the gym on a daily basis, or if you have the discipline to have your healthy meals in place, then you have to have the discipline to disconnect from your phone. So for me, for example, I schedule the disconnection from my phone, where my phone makes it happen by you have this digital detox. I make sure everyone knows, do not get in touch with me after 7 p.m. because it's me time. It's discipline, right?
It's Netflix time for you, isn't it?
It's reading and Netflix, yes, in all honesty, you got me off guard. But you need that time for yourself because
if people want to
draining.
If people do want to get in touch with you, what's the best way? Through your social channels?
Yes, Raise Your Mental Health on Instagram.
So it's Raise Your Mental Health. That's RAYS, Raise Your Mental Health. It's an important time of year. It's not quite as happy as what it's led to be on social media. So it's a good idea to be kind to yourself.
Yes.
Don't think of self-sabotage, and also check on others who maybe aren't behaving as they usually would. Maybe they're, receding or they're not being as social as they would. Ray Kobeissi, these are great points. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
And that account is Raise Your Mental Health here on Talk